Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel, and it's certainly with regret that I share with you this news that one of the most well-known XRP-related projects outside of course, what Ripple is doing with XRP positioning as a bridge currency, that's the most well-known one, but one of the most well-known projects outside of that is officially dead. I'm talking about none other than Coil, a platform that was basically streaming money in real time to content creators. I'm sure many of you are familiar. If not, I'll do a quick rundown anyway, make sure that you understand. But this was a massive investment, in particular from Ripple. Ripple ended up backing Coil, which is a separate company, to the tune of 1 billion XRP, which at the time was worth $250 million. So, today it's would be worth more like, somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 million. But look, I'll say this at the outset of the video. Look, most businesses fail outside of crypto. I can't remember I was thinking about this. I should have looked it up before recording. I'm kind of curious now, but I'm a small business owner myself, and I have been for 13 years, and we made it. But I remember seeing stats, and I think after a decade, it's something like maybe 90% of businesses are no longer in business. It's a crazy high percentage of businesses that after a decade, they just don't even exist. And even if to 5 years, it may have been something like 70%. I have to Google to pull up the number. So if you're curious, you can look it up yourself. And I may be a little bit off, but you get the idea. And so think about that, though. Sure, some of those businesses may be kind of novel or this and that, but, with so many novel business ideas being tested, in crypto, it should be expected that an even greater percentage of businesses will ultimately crash and burn. And that's part of the evolution of all of this, and that's okay, actually. And I've actually said this before many times over the years. Most businesses that start building something out using XRP or any cryptocurrency, they will cease to exist. And this one, though, I think it's such a cool idea. And so it's sad to see this go. But I was kind of afraid this may be happening because I hadn't heard anything from him the longest damn time. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And by the way, I happen to be a subscriber of Coil, like a current subscriber of Coil, because they're technically still functioning for a little over another month. And I have been a paying subscriber of Coil for, I don't remember exactly when, probably 2 or 3 years, something like that at this point. Although I will admit, the times I'd use it, anything relating to it's kind of rare because the adoption just ultimately, the organic growth just happened to not be there. Although I'll let the founder explain why he thinks that happened. It's not that the idea in and of itself is bad. In fact, I think it's a virtual certainty it's going to be adopted, but it's also a thing of right place, right time, right approach, right marketing, all of that. So even if an idea is good conceptually, it's like, what's the execution? What's the environment look like right now? Is it the right time? And so there's all sorts of other considerations. But let me set the table just a little bit so you guys all are caught up to speed on what Coil is and what why it was important to XRP, because Coil was using a blend of interledger protocol and XRP to facilitate the streaming of money in real time, which wasn't possible until the advent of all of this technology. So it's the coolest damn stuff. It really is. And XRP is perfect for this because it's so blazing fast, settles with finality in 3 to 5 seconds. So here's a piece from a crypto briefing from August 15th, 2019, titled Ripple Pumps 1 billion XRP into New Content Sharing Platform. Ripple's funding initiative Spring has granted 1 billion XRP tokens, roughly $250 million at current prices, to Coil, a new sharing and monetization platform that rewards content creators with micropayments. According to the announcement, Coil will use the grant to build out an ecosystem in which creators, companies, and developers can share and reward content. Some of it will also go towards marketing, raising brand awareness among content creators, as well as other potential business partners. Coil, which announced a partnership and $20 million investment into Imager earlier this year, launched its monetization platform back in May. Users pay a $5 monthly subscription, which is paid out to content creators on a streaming basis, depending on the amount of content on their site. Yeah, so as pause note, basically, as you consume content, and you just pay as a user like a flat rate, but as you continue to consume content, whether it's scrolling through a blog or you're watching a video, it streams money in real time to the content creator. So and the reason this is important, just to be clear, it creates a new form of web monetization. Because right now, what do you have on the internet? Well, you've got paywalls. How many? But they're so problematic. How many services do you want to pay a monthly or annual subscription to? How into each of those platforms are you into? You better be real into it if you're going to be paying a monthly or annual subscription. And so that's a problem. And then the alternative model is you get just blitzed with advertisements all over the damn place. Now, I use Brave browser almost 100% of the time, so I typically don't have to deal with that. But still, that's the monetization form for the internet. But what if there's a third option? And there is. It still exists technically right now, Coil, which is streaming money in real time. So instead of having a payment wall or instead of advertisements, what if the platform in question, wherever you're visiting, they just get streamed money in real time, and it's just a little bit. Because understand, like, the amount of money that they're, any content creators making from the ads on the website or video or whatever it is, it's actually really small. It's a small amount, so you can actually stream a small amount. But if it's behind just this concept of a paid model, $5 monthly, oh, there you go. And some heavy users, in theory, Coil could lose money, but on most users, they set up the model so that it should be profitable. You just need enough users for it to, as a business, be profitable, and they obviously didn't quite get there. But when I remember when Coil, so the CEO, Stefan Thomas, when he pitched this idea, or he had a meeting with some people at Apple, the people at Apple were trying to understand it, and they go, oh, okay, so basically it's kind of like the Amazon Prime of the internet, which effectively is, if you pay this $5, any website that signed up, and the idea was to get every website possible to sign up, you can just go to anything. And then if you reach this point where, had there been enough adoption, you reach escape velocity. And still, the idea, I think, is very good in having this new form of web monetization where it just streams money and you don't have to deal with the other different. I think it's going to take hold at some point. It's just a question of how and when. And unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to happen with Coil and XRP, unfortunately. Anyway, piece continues. Coil CEO Stefan Thomas is the former CTO of Ripple Labs. Since launching the platform in May, Coil has sent more than 10 million micropayments to content creators who can withdraw funds in either US dollars or XRP. The company plans to increase the number of payment options, crypto and fiat, in the near future. Quote, the low cost and fast transactions of XRP make it an ideal tool for Coil to offer an alternative monetization method and have a positive impact on creators, explained Ethan Beard, Spring's senior vice president. At Spring, we build infrastructure and support projects that enable the Internet of Value and increase the utilization of XRP. Yeah, and I want to pause and note also Spring, which is written as XPRING, which is, I'm sorry, I love you, Ripple, but that's stupid. Everybody's like, is it Xpring? How do you pronounce it? It's Spring, though. That was actually ultimately rebranded sometime later to Ripple X, and they kind of changed the way that they function. But so if you're not familiar with Spring, that's probably why you probably heard of Ripple X if you're newer. The XRP community. But anyway, piece continues. Spring was the only external entity in Coil's $4 million seed round, which concluded earlier this month. The total investment came directly from Ripple's own balance sheet, according to Beard. Thomas, the CEO, also contributed. And so then we get this sad news, and this is the official Coil website. Here you can say, which reads as follows: an open letter to the community, Coil bids farewell, but not goodbye. When we started Coil in 2018, Interledger was only an idea. I actually need to pause here, just to be clear. As far as Interledger protocol is concerned, it's not a blockchain. It's not even a ledger itself. It's a protocol that connects ledgers of all types, not just blockchains. It connects ledgers of all types, including from the world of legacy finance. And it's a simple protocol. They kept it as, the code as succinct as possible. To allow for the broadest interface possible. That was the point of this. It's supposed to link everything together, and it's something that was sorely missing at the advent of the internet, in particular back in the 90s. There was just like a hole in like the overall design of the internet, where when it comes to monetization, it's like question mark. And anyway, this was created. Internet Ledger ended up being created and adopted by, I think, every major browser on the planet, even Apple's Safari. But anyway, the writing continues. Over the last 5 years, we breathed life into the technology and sparked a vibrant ecosystem around it. Now it's time to pass the torch to a neutral body in the form of the Interledger Foundation to steward the future development of Interledger. As part of this evolution, we've decided to sunset Coil's products and development efforts. On February 2nd, 2023, we will no longer accept signups for the Coil membership. On March 15th, 2023, we will discontinue our service. More detailed information is available in our FAQ. Coil's approach of providing memberships was always meant as a stepping stone to establish web monetization as the first open standard for creators and developers to get paid on the web. In the near future, there will be full-featured Interledger wallets powering web monetization and many other use cases. Personally, my work on Interledger will continue, and I'll stay involved at the Interledger Foundation as chairperson of the board. To the Coil and Interledger communities, I want to say a huge thank you for your support and contributions. There is much more left to do, and I'm excited to carry on this work with all of you. Stefan Thomas, founder of Coil. It is sad to see that. I was really hoping that it would work out, but again, I've been saying for years, and it is true, unfortunately, most of the things that people try to build with XRP or any crypto, vast majority are going to fail. Especially, again, when you're operating in this very, frontier space, all sorts of novel ideas. You got to try everything, and then you just kind of see what sticks. So I do still think that this is valuable. So this concept, it's going to be adopted in some form somewhere in the future, but it just didn't work here and now, unfortunately. And XRP community member Leonidas, who runs a very popular website, xrparcade.com, he wrote on this topic, a huge effort from Ripple and probably its biggest failure. A 1 billion XRP investment with very little to show for it. Coil was an excellent idea, but the business model and timing weren't ideal. Build it and they will come doesn't apply to everything, no matter how much money you throw at it. And then there was also this from Stefan Thomas on Twitter. He wrote, "This is farewell but not goodbye. Today Coil is sunsetting. I would like to thank the team that made Coil what it is, helped create the Interledger Foundation and an ecosystem around it. Of course I'm sad, but the work continues. Personally, I will remain chairperson of the board at the Interledger Foundation and continue to be fully focused on the project. Part of that will be building DASSIE, D-A-S-S-I-E, and I am excited to have more hours for coding. I've been working on XRP-related projects for more than 10 years now, which is a long time. Big things require persistence, and I'm proud to be part of a community that puts real-world solutions and consistent progress ahead of ideology and hype. Slow and steady wins the race. Thank you all for your support, and please know that although this is the end of one chapter, it's the start of another." Yeah, and by the way, I'd also like to mention, and this must be tough for him after putting this much work in. I mean, he's been doing Coil for, I know that article's 2019, but I mean, he's been working on this for over half a decade. And even though this didn't work, it doesn't mean that with some sort of adoption of whatever in the future, that XRP couldn't be a part of it, because the way I'm envisioning it, and I think that Stefan, he was thinking along the same lines and just this aspect of it anyways, that payout would be in as many forms as possible. XRP is just great because it's so cheap to transact and it's instant, so it just makes sense. So XRP seems like a no-brainer for whatever form of this might ultimately get adopted. XRP could still be used. It's just that there might be a bunch of other coins too, and that's fine. I mean, I think that was part of the vision ultimately anyway, obviously, as stated in that article from 2019. And I thought that things might have been on the rocks here when I read this tweet from Stefan Thomas November 1st of last year. He wrote, "I'm coding again, new project DASSIE, and it's about Interledger peer-to-peer micropayments for the network." And so as soon as I saw that back in November, I don't remember if I covered it in a video, but I read that, I was like, because I'd been wondering for a while. I was like, there's been no news from Coil. What's going on here? Is this sustainable? So what about you might be wondering, what about the 1 billion XRP from Ripple to Coil? Well, somebody named Slack wrote to Stefan Thomas and said, "What happened to the $250 million XRP gift?" And Stefan Thomas responded and wrote, "Most of it was in the form of a fund that we could draw from. This money never left Ripple. Now that Coil is winding down, I assume they'll reallocate those funds towards other projects. The biggest drawdown against the fund by far was the $100 million to Interledger." Yeah, so I don't know how much was spent, and he didn't share that, and he doesn't have to. It doesn't necessarily matter, but it sounds like it wasn't like the majority of what was, allotted anyway. So Ripple still had the rest of it the whole time, just a fund you could dip into. So now they can allot that to other stuff effectively. And that's fine. If this wasn't going to work out, that part's good. At some point you got to cut loose and go another route. Somebody named No Rankings wrote to Stefan Thomas and said, "Can you talk in real terms about why the product is discontinued? Was it due to lack of demand, lack of adoption? What do you think is needed in the future to revolutionize web monetization? What are the hurdles that you weren't able to overcome?" And Stefan Thomas wrote, "We should not have shut down the community Interledger protocol network back in 2019. That's when we lost organic growth and momentum. It put Interledger behind a wall where there wasn't any wall that could both send and receive. Part of the motivation for Dassey is to fix that mistake. And then there was this from an XRP validator, XRP Ledger Validator, rippleItin.nz, who wrote, where does this leave the Coil XRP Ledger Validator, which is on both the XRP Ledger Foundation and Ripple curated list of trusted validators? Under whose control will this now be if it is being left in service? Stefan Thomas responded and wrote, it's an opportunity for another validator to join the unique node list. There will have to be some vetting, but there's no rush. We'll keep our validator running until both XRP Ledger Foundation and Ripple have updated their unique node lists. So there you go. It's a sad story, but again, there's going to be more of these in the future. There will be. There has been in the past. There will be more in the future. But I still see a bright future. XRP itself is obviously the best cryptocurrency on the entire planet. I argue. I do firmly believe this in terms of payments, and that's due not solely to its code, but also its adoption, its real-world liquidity, because you can't program liquidity into a coin. It has it or it doesn't, and XRP's got it. Relative, and I know it's in terms of the scheme of things, you fast forward a couple of decades, this will look like nothing. But today, it's one of the most liquid coins on the entire planet, and it still could be a couple of decades from now. But really, as long as you've got one use case that solves problems for real people or businesses, that's enough. You just need one for a cryptocurrency to succeed. And XRP has others that are clearly taking hold, have taken hold, and are not going to go away. It's just how it works. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.